Since you had talked about performance pay for teachers, how do you plan on implementing that? Are you content with the current regime of assessment, or do you have some other form of student assessment in mind?
Jeff?
Yes.
Right. Let me say first of all that we do not, or up until a few weeks ago, I don't know if the governor signed the bill or not, we have had a statute in Maine for years that has prohibited the measurement of student performance and performance pay for teachers. In other words, if you're a teacher in the Maine school systems, you don't get more money. You don't get compensated better for doing a better job of teaching your kids. And just like there's a lot of evidence all over the country now that charter schools make sense, that charter schools involve parents, that charter schools are a good thing. There's all kinds of evidence that performance pay for teachers produces better teaching. And we don't do that. I mean, we don't do anything. We don't do anything in Maine that the teachers union doesn't want us to do in P through 12 education. Now, we're now going to go into a system, or we're going to go into contract negotiations throughout the state, where performance pay is no longer prohibited. That's one of the changes that the legislature made in order to put us in a better, though I think not as good as we ought to be, position for a race to the top fund. We have got to, in every school district in Maine, involve teachers, first of all, in coming up with the right kinds of performance measures that will be used to determine whether they get more money or not. So,
I just have a question about that. I'm not from Maine, so do you have tenure here?
yes, oh yes.
And,
in Maine, you get tenure after 2 years.
And that doesn't stop people from leaving?
In Maine, you get tenure after 2 years. You have a 20-year lockstep salary increase. It's and no performance, no pay for performance. You might think that this is a system that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for the kids, and you'd be right. Now, the first thing you got to do is you got to sit down, Jeff, with the teachers. Secondly, you've got to decide with the teachers whether this ought to be school-based, team-based, district-based. How should you do it? And we've got to find the money for it. The only way we're going to find the money for it is to get our teacher per pupil ratio more in line with other rural states in America that all outperform us. If we do that, we save $400 million a year in this state. And some of that money ought to be used to compensate teachers better if they perform better. But we've got to get the incentives right. And when you're trying to do incentives right, you need to involve the people who are going to be incentivized. And this is a process we're going to have to go through all over the state.
Eliot, you want to summarize? Closing statement?
No. Okay. Thank you very much.